taking his HOH and wanting to get him out of the house to suddenly talking to him like he
Holy
was an
shit.
ally. And there was a lot of question about how
Shit
she would
size.
vote this week.
No, very much so. But I mean, that's kind of we have part of the rule like keep your controversial beliefs or your really politics out of things. But that sometimes you don't need to do that when it
Right,
aligns with that person. You know,
right.
if that's a way you can bond, and he was able to do that. And that's the thing is, I thought it was interesting. Yes, he talks about that specific portion, but there's a certain level he talks about that with other players on a larger grand scale. Like, he uses it as a way to connect them. So I do think truly, I think in this portion it might have been somewhat strategic. He knew he could bond with them for it. He could
Right.
figure out a way to and that's what he's good at. And I'll give him that. He knows how to socially work his way into people, so they would want to forgive him or work with him. For what end he didn't really have a plan for, but just to do
Yeah,
it while he was in there. Because I think he
yeah,
does that potentially outside the house too.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's possible. Now, the really strange thing is that while everyone said they liked him, they also said they were scared of him. And I know I've, have made fun of people being scared of Rachel, but this seemed well, maybe this was the same. I don't know. But in his case, they knew about his temper. Even this week, Riley spewed all kinds of things about Rachel to other players. I would quote it, but it would mostly be me saying bleep over and over again, much like I did a few minutes ago. He attacked her. He said all sorts of things about her. And then he turned around and said, I can't stand people who bleeping talk bleep about me when haven't done anything to them. And then he told Mickey, I'm not going to talk bleep about Rachel. It, you, that's literally all you do. Why? What?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things, especially once you get in throughout the game, and we're seeing it week in and week out. The people who've gone out earlier are potentially more confrontational people, right? So you have a house guest who are less likely to want that type of behavior as they go. It puts a target on your back, but also might make it less likely for them to want to have to deal with that. I mean, we see, like you mentioned, how some players are they're already from this Rachel Riley just playing the game hard and strong. Some people are like, I don't want to, I don't want to push that over. I can completely understand those same players being like, I don't want Riley to yell at me. We know he will. We'll see that.
Yeah, I mean, all of that was one reason nobody was willing to nominate him until Rachel stood up and showed them how it was done. Riley himself told Catherine at one point, no one is going to come after you because no one is going to piss me off because they know I will take them out of this house. You should be happy where you're sitting. And so, again, it's the super nice guy who is also a threatening figure.
Yeah, I mean, it's like kind of like you watch The Godfather or you watch, Sopranos. You have somebody like they're very sweet in the you at the dinner table, but you know what they might hold behind it. Because also strategically, when you think about it too, it might be a good transition with this too. Is that with Catherine, it's not just one person to be worried about; it's two people to be worried about. A threat level.
Yeah. Now I'm not quite ready to go into that. I have
Oh, you got some
oh
more? Okay.
I have even more because um I mentioned back in Rule 1 that while Riley himself wasn't playing the game for a month, he still criticized others for not playing the way he thought they should. So, for example, he got annoyed with Ava because she can't win comps. She's a floater and he can't stand floaters, as if he has a clue what that word even means. He continued, she needs to start playing this bleeping game. She's not playing this bleeping game. She's going to take her bleeping home, bro, if she don't be bleeping careful. She's not going to jury. She's going to get her bleeping taken home. Sorry, way too many bleeps. That's just the way he talks. And he he also said he was tired of Kelly running around the house causing drama. I mean, okay, I can grant him that one, except for the whole fact that he didn't actually play himself. He continued by saying he would put Keanu, Kelly, and Ashley on the block because he wants all three of them to go home. They better start playing this bleeping game right. It pisses him off. He's sick of Kelly running her bleeping mouth. Fast bleeping bleep. It pisses him off. She's worse than Jimmy. He goes to sleep for 2 bleeping hours, and the mother bleepers are doing the most. Kelly talking to Catherine pisses him off. He says Keanu has been in the HOH room for 2 hours kissing Rachel's bleep. last week, Riley was annoyed that Zach asked him how he's voting. Yeah, how dare Zach dare to actually, try to stay in the game? I mean, understandably, Zach didn't try very hard, but at all, you know. And then Riley said out loud, I can't bleeping wait for him to get evicted. When Catherine tried to quiet him down, he said, I don't keep bleeping care who hears me. What are they going to do? And, so to summarize, the most times I've ever said the word bleep in my life, um, he felt anyone who strategized was wrong. Or if they talked to the HOH, or heaven forbid if they should talk to Catherine, or they just played the game in a way that he didn't like, that was it. He was going to go off on them, about them. He usually kept it okay to their face, but he'd go off about them. But the thing was, it wasn't just him going off to Catherine. He went off about them to other people that he was working with, so those other people knew he had that in him.
Yeah, you get to start seeing, and I think when you start cross-referencing, because it just didn't get far enough. I mean, we saw a little bit of it, when people are figuring out threat levels of them, and then this emotional outburst he's having, like, oh, I don't like this, I don't like this. But where he went down in the game, the longer it goes, the cracks
That
will be
shit
seen.
fucking pisses me off. Oh my god, this tower fucking sucks.
Had a very different perspective on Riley as
Are you
players.
serious?
The players in there as the weeks gone by, because
I'm
he
serious.
doesn't have this ability to hide.
Yeah. All right, now we can go into the sixth rule, which warns against being too much of a threat. And obviously, we just discussed one threat that he posed in terms of him turning his wrath on someone if they wronged him. I think this was one reason it was so hard to convince a couple of the players to vote him out, because they had to be sure.
What the hell am I doing?
Wrong end of
Why?
How else did you see him in terms?
Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you see him and his
What the fuck?
or maybe already their competition ability, you have the anger of like, okay, I don't want to have to deal with this afterwards. But also then you have not just him, but you also have Catherine there too. So you have a combined threat level of 2 people, and one of those ones where a lot of times you see in a showmatch when recent seasons, one player is doing something, but the other one wants to kind of sweep the issues away. They'll work its way to like, all right, I'll cover your tracks. No, they double down. But like when somebody steps, when Riley steps, Catherine steps right in there. They're not really arguing about how hard to take it against people, and so it's makes it double scary because you're like, okay, there's actually no way I can wiggle my way through this. Like I can't. There's no world where they'll put either of them will put me first as an alliance member.
Yeah, and with all of that, we already discussed in the second rule some reasons why him having a showmance in the house is a threat. And as the numbers whittle down, having 2 people who are that solid can be a force. They were a duo. They have a double vote. Rachel told the Judges Alliance that as the numbers get lower, his strength and comps will come into play more, and both he and Catherine will compete in just about everything.
Yeah, they'll both be competing in everything. Or 2 votes, and then if we either of them make it to jury, that's a whole nother vote. You already know. And so when you start thinking about, especially certain members too, like how much can I rely on them as the game goes? Because if I know I need to get both of them out in jury, then I have how many other alliance members can I trust to do that? That's 2 other people. It's a trio, whoever's added with them. So you get those 2 out. Who else can you work with? So it's one of those things that are better to get them out now potentially than later for so many reasons, but also so that way you can develop your relationships with other players and then potentially Catherine by herself.
Right. And you mentioned the jury, having one of them in the jury. And this was something Rachel explained too, was she said Brendan did so much work in the jury for her while she was still playing the game. So she knows what can happen when a showmance has one person in the jury and one person headed toward the finals.
100%. And you're there for so long. I mean, all the players, especially somebody like Rachel, knows and that perspective. While she refers to them, all these newbies don't, because there's so much time spent in that jury house. Things can be influenced so much, and especially somebody like Riley, who's already influencing people just with his behavior. Now, to give that untethered, no cameras, what happens? How can he'll be able to influence them real well.
Yeah. All right, well, the seventh rule says to trust almost nobody. Riley put his trust in several people who turned on him, and for a while, it did work before that happened. The thing is, he was likely never going to return that trust, or there was at least no real way to determine whose trust he would return because he said bad things about almost everybody else there. The only person he actually trusted was, of course, Catherine, and she stayed true to him in the house, though hopefully that won't be the case when she's out of the game.
Hopefully not, but in the game itself, it's like you said, is how much did he trust in them because he was kind of new. It's ironic because he did trust them that they would game wise do what he wanted them to do when he said something, but he didn't trust them as actual people. He didn't trust what he said to them. So it's interesting. I don't know how much of it was his demise because there's certain situations where like the people who probably shouldn't be around him or like be voting for Keanu, his whole group of people, he's able to continuously put them there. Lauren, all these other players that he thought he could trust not to use a veto, he kind of undoes it himself. Yes, he didn't do a good job of this, but I also don't know how much of this was the reason that sent him packing either.
Right. All right, well, it's about time to wrap things up. So, what are your final thoughts about Riley?
I think strategic wise, he was probably not the worst player of the season, but also there's not much strategy to behold because he didn't play the game half the game. His entire reason to be on Big Brother, it seems like it was not to win the money, not to be there for himself or play the game. It was to be in a showman. And within that showman, he was able to cover ground because of just their social connections. If nothing else, he knows how to charm people. We saw that there, but that goes only so far when you're playing 2 weeks of Big Brother, essentially, game time, and you run out of people you can continue to do so. He was a threat, made a showman. He made no secret of how he felt about everybody else. And I think they all wised up and realized we can't have him in the house, and that's why he lost.
Yeah. Well, when Rachel became HOH, I thought Riley was going to be safe because of the way she'd supported the showmance up to that point. She had a bit of a realization when she heard Riley was upset that she was sticking her nose in. And then things kept going downhill from there because she also knew she had tried to get them to commit to an alliance and they hadn't. Still, she had bigger fish to fry in Mickey and Morgan and Vince. She didn't even want to go after Riley yet. Just using that as a possibility, as a threat to dissuade Lauren from using the veto. But Lauren thought she was kidding. Who would go after Riley? Well, Rachel doesn't kid about such matters, and she put him right on the block. Even then, I didn't think it would happen. He had too many people who seemed to want him to stay. Plus, everybody wanted Mickey gone. I knew going into Thursday night that it would take the perfect storm of Mickey winning Blockbuster and all of the questionable votes going the right way. I can't say many of us had faith in Mickey, but she did it. And Riley helped by being as dumb in the Blockbuster as he was in the overall game. This was something we didn't really discuss. It doesn't fall into the rules per se.
Of course.
But yeah, he blew that Blockbuster big time.
Where the hell do I jump to?
Meanwhile, once Rachel dropped the bomb of nominating him, she never stopped working to try to pull together the votes. She kept pushing on Ava and Vince in particular, and she finally wore them down, along with Morgan guilting Vince and, well, Vince guilting Vince. Although the reasons so many viewers wanted him out of the house were not the same as the reasons people actually voted him out, there was overlap. As I mentioned, his lack of flexibility showed itself to us in the way he treated Catherine, but it showed itself to the players in the way he talked about the game. He didn't come there to play Big Brother. He came to have a vacation. For a while, that attitude of fun worked for him. But at some point, even the people in this season start to realize it's a game. And he still wasn't playing it. Plus, he was constantly angry at those who were. Keeping him wasn't really good for anyone, including even those who voted for him to stay, other than Catherine, of course, though I think it may turn out that it's even better for her in the game, and certainly will be better for her in life, as an aside. When it came down to the decision of Riley and Morgan, Morgan was just a better potential ally for the majority of the House. Sure, she's not ideal for some of them, but still better than Riley. maybe in the backs of their minds, although they usually didn't admit it publicly, they did know what kind of
Oh my
person he was.
god.
There were a few hints of it,
So
but it
fucking
seemed like
annoying,
they
dude.
mostly didn't talk about it out loud. Either way, he had become a threat to their game, partially because of him just being him and others being afraid to nominate him, and partially because of the showmance angle, and partially because of the combination that it also meant people were afraid to nominate Catherine. Those weren't the reasons we wanted him gone, but I'm just happy they found enough overlap to make it happen, and that is why Riley lost.
Well done. A seamless approach to bring both of us, the viewers, the live feeders, and us casuals, to be able to watch and enjoy this. Summed up very well.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Okay, well, we will have our predictions in a moment after a few other pieces of information. In addition, if you want all of our full thoughts, including spoilers, which you will not get in the predictions, we are all over social media where we discuss Big Brother and other topics.
Yes, don't forget that both of us are active on a number of different social media platforms where we discuss Big Brother and other topics. On Twitter, Blue Sky, and Instagram, I'm at OVKB, and on TikTok, I'm at BusMuffyBoy. But David is truly all over the place, but there are a few ways you can track him down. You can find his various accounts all through his Linktree at Linktree/David Bloomberg. But you can find him directly on Blue Sky at as David Bloomberg.
Yes, I encourage anyone at any of the other places to come over to Blue Sky. Of course, like I said, we've got Ovi there. He just needs to actually have time to post, but Ovi is a very busy man.
I'll be posting soon.
Yeah. And yeah, so many other major Big Brother accounts have moved, and it's obviously just a better place. In addition, for videos, I have been posting at least 3 or 4 per day, sometimes as many as 6. You can find those at TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, where I'm at David Bloomberg TV. It's a combination of thoughts from the episodes, live feed clips, just general thoughts about what's happening in the game. And with Australian Survivor, Australia versus the World, having started last week, I have videos of those as well, including mini Y blank losses for some of the biggest players worldwide. With that, it's time for predictions. And as always, we tackle these before we know anything. I wrote these up while we were waiting for the wall comp to start, so it is completely spoiler free. And my thought was, I think Morgan has a good shot, but she has this habit of thinking she is really good at everything and then not being. I think it would be hilarious if it happened again. So I'm going to predict that she does not win. Someone on Blue Sky pointed out, again, I got to start writing these people's names down, that the so-called widows of showmances often win the very next comp. And I think Catherine has the ability to do that when it comes to the wall. It's not what I would want because it means she'll target Rachel, but it's going to be my prediction. However, I also think that Rachel will be able to get herself off the block. And in the end, it will be Ava who goes because it was so obvious that Ava turned against Riley. I mean, she was literally sitting there crying at the end of the couch. I just don't think she has that many people who are willing to stand up for her and save her. So Ava is my prediction.
Wow, now I feel like I'm going to be copying you essentially because I was going to say we are going to have the other half of the showmans actually win this HOH this week. But I don't have Ava as going home. I have her as being on the block. But I do think Mickey/Rachel, and I feel like we're going to see some anger towards Mickey in some shape or form. There's a way that Catherine wants to bring the house back together, find a common enemy, and that will be Mickey packing her bags this week.
That is a very good point, actually. That but now I just think of Mickey as a challenge beast since she won that one challenge.
With 1 minute still on the clock that everyone decided to just forget.
I mean, Morgan, I know we're past this, but Morgan, I forgive. Morgan, I think, saw the score she had, saw Riley's score, and realized he hadn't locked in. So, of course, the tiebreaker is going to be the time. So she ran there and did it. Riley had no excuse. He was in the best spot in the middle. He could see either side. And he didn't even look over at Mickey as far as I could tell. But then why do you hit the buzzer when you know Morgan has the same score as you and already hit the buzzer? It makes no sense. It was one of his many dumb moves. So
yes, no, it was horrible. A lot of dumb moves. But it is one of the many reasons that why
yeah,
Riley went home.
yes.
And um, and as we wrap up, I want to encourage people to check out the RHAP Patreon program at robhasawebsite.com/patron. Rob has several patron-only podcasts for Big Brother, plus other perks like the Facebook group and Discord. You can help support shows like ours and everything on the network by becoming a patron at robhasawebsite.com/patron.
Yes, and make sure you're subscribed to all of the RHAP podcasts by going to WeKnowBigBrother.com. You could see it right there if you're watching the video, or you can go to WeKnowRealityTV.com, especially if you're, preparing as the Survivor season is coming here. That will bring you more of the other shows as well. Because you'll find all the different content. You'll find Big Brother. You'll find just all these different things you can subscribe to on any of those.
And finally, we want to thank Scott St. Pierre and Jessica Sterling and the whole RJP and Reality TV Wrap Ups behind the scenes team for all the work they do with editing and posting and everything else. We really appreciate everything they do, get our voices from our microphones to your ears. And thank you to all our viewers for tuning in. Sorry for the technical difficulties today. I'm having a storm that's taking out my entire internet essentially all throughout the day. So dealing with that. But I'm so thankful that we have the internet
I'm
to be
so
able to talk
nervous,
to you
dude.
all.
Oh my god.
See your thoughts. I want to get your thoughts
Imagine.
game-wise, because we've heard a lot of other stuff. Game-wise, what do you think went wrong for Riley? Let us know if you disagree or agree with us. And thank you, David, as always, for being one of the best hosts out there.
Oh, well, thank you. And of course, thank
Double
you
for David.
for another for another great episode. We weren't expecting to be able to talk about Riley this week. We're so happy we could. It was the big W, the win for all of us. We will see everyone in a week, or you can find us on social media in the meantime. Bye.
Bye.
This is RHAP.
Oh my god.
We know reality TV.
Oh my god. I really just did that first try. Wow, that was fast. That's huge, bro. Dude, I actually fluked it. Like, the freaking floor 9 and floor 10. And the final stretch, that's crazy. Oh, man. But I was so nervous. I can't believe I did that. That tower is actually so... It's like kind of fun. It's not bad. It's alright. Okay, bye.